Hi there. Welcome to the Solution Architect session. Today we'll be talking about how can we run an Azure BICEP project through Azure DevOps pipeline. So basically, as you see this network diagram, we have this VNet created, subnet created, three subnets into three availability zone where we have one application load balancer, which is basically balancing the traffic between four virtual machines. Now, in this tutorial, I will show that I have an Azure Bicep project created for this entire network architecture. Okay, and how we can basically trigger or execute through Azure DevOps pipeline. So basically we have logged in into Azure DevOps. We will go to a particular project and create a pipeline from the step by step. So mostly it is a pipeline tutorial and how we can trigger or execute Azure Bicep project. Okay, so I have already logged in into my Azure portal, which is portal.azure.com, and separately into dev.azure.com, which you know that it is a Azure DevOps portal. Those two portals are completely separate. Okay. Now, let me tell you one thing, that this is the project, which is a sample project, and it is part of our Azure Cloud Masterclass. And Azure Cloud Masterclass is a 3 months masterclass program on Microsoft Azure. So it covers the role-based coaching as well as the certification focus, which are focused to AZ 104 and AZ 305. It is a complete 3 months project where we have the deep knowledge of all the areas of the certification as well as in actual industry, whatever you require to know to step in as cloud engineer. So if I show you the content of this whole 3 months program, you see that total 8 weeks are for role based, and the last 4 weeks, means the third month, is basically all about the certification question answering thing. Okay, so every week has the assignments as well as the area of the certification or the Azure cloud areas. Particularly we focus with the hands-on session. Okay, so this is the complete architecture. Now let me quickly go back to our actually demo of this session. Is that here I will be creating this infrastructure, not the complete one, but I have shared this code for the whole infrastructure. So if I take you to this code where I have kept that, it is under project masterclass private repository under project sample ISE Bicep and ISE web app. And under web app, we have this source, and here in the source, we have all the files for the source, as well as we have the parameter files separately. So we have the bicep parameters separately provided for application gateway, network, resource group, and the virtual machines we are creating, as well as we have the modules. So it is a complete organized project which is structured as per the cloud best practices. So you see that we have the modules for application gateway, network module, and user data docker, because in this case actually when we are provisioning the virtual machines, we are installing the docker, and basically we are dockerizing and we are creating HTTPD server and hosting and website basically. Okay, and we are not plainly installing the website into virtual machine. We are taking a containerized approach. Okay, so let me go back to here. As you see that we have the project code completely, and as I said that the project code contains 100% of this design, but here we will only create the VNet and the subnet. for the quick tutorial purpose. I do not want to extend the tutorial, because once you know that how to create one project in pipeline for your Azure Bicep, then you can use that same template and just point it to your particular bicep project and it will execute. So there is no difference between that. Okay. So what I am doing that first, as you see, I have logged in into my Azure DevOps portal. I am going to an existing project. So you can create, if you don't have the project created already, just click on the new project and you can create a project. So if I go into my existing project, you will see there are these boards, repository, applications, test plan, and artifacts basically. So let me take you to this pipeline directly, because we will be creating the pipeline. I'm not taking you to this Azure repo, but you know that this is a repository provided by Azure, which is basically for your code version management. Okay. Now in our case, we will be storing our code or this Azure Bicep project in the GitHub. You can store the same thing, the whole project in your Azure repository only. Okay. So here I am into this pipeline option. Now I am clicking on create a new pipeline basically. So I will be creating a new pipeline. Here you see that it is asking, where is your code? Very simply. So where is my code? My code is in GitHub repository. It is not in Azure repo or Bitbucket. If you have the code in Azure repo, simply click on Azure repository Git. Okay. Now there are two options in GitHub repository. One is for GitHub and another is for GitHub Enterprise Server. Now GitHub Enterprise Server is usually used by the organization. Okay. Or it can be a self-hosted, because it can be hosted by your organization. So in our case, we are simply using the GitHub, that is a private repository. Now I am clicking on this GitHub. Okay. Now it will take me to select that particular GitHub repository. Okay. Here you see that it has listed all the repositories. So what I am doing, that I need to select that repository. Let me take you to that. What is my repository over here? So my repository name is Azure Cloud Masterclass. Okay. So I am trying to search that Azure Cloud Masterclass, but let me search, click on all repository and then I will search. So Azure Cloud Masterclass I see over there. Okay, now it is asking me configure your pipeline. So you want to start from the scratch, the pipeline, or you have an existing pipeline and you want to use that. Existing pipelines means existing pipeline YML file. So if I take you into this project, actually into the code, you will find there is a pipeline directory where I have the pipeline YML. So you do not need to write the pipeline YML. I have already provided that. Okay, so I will be explaining that what is the function of each part of this pipeline YML. But since it is in our pipeline directory, so let's do one thing. Let's select from here that existing Azure pipeline, and it is asking that which branch. So definitely main branch. In my case, it is in main branch. In your case, it can be in main branch or some other branches, and click on the path. Path is basically that in which folders or the directory path that pipeline YML exists. Now Azure DevOps has the intelligence that it finds but the YML which exists in your that particular branch. So in my case, only one YML exists and it has means just searched for me. And yes, this is the path and this is the YML file for me. Okay. Now I am clicking on continue and it is creating the draft of that pipeline. So review your pipeline, it is asking me. Okay. So it has taken from my GitHub repository. Okay. Now first thing is, say that at first you must be knowing that I have made the trigger none. What does it mean? That when you want basically for your continuous integration or CI, that when you push any code or make any change in your repository, you want your pipeline to be triggered, and pipeline ultimately deploys your code to a particular environment. Okay, so in this case, what I earned that I do not want to trigger every time I make any change in my repository. Okay, that's why I made it none. But in your case, if you want that your trigger should be done, particularly when for the branch, for the main branch, is there if there is any change you push, the pipeline should be triggered, then you simply just uncomment this. Okay, now second part is the variables. So whatever the variables required for this pipeline to pass. Okay, so in our case the variables are the VM image name, resource group name, location, parameter file, and template file. Now let me explain one by one. VM image name is basically the virtual machine image which the pipeline will be using. It is not that you are creating a separate virtual machine. Okay, so when pipeline executes, it needs to execute on a compute platform, right? So it will basically use a Ubuntu latest virtual machine image and then will execute the pipeline. Next is the resource group name. Resource group name is that whatever you have any existing resource group name. So I have come to the portal.azure.com, basically the Azure portal. And if I click on this Azure group, you see that you will get list of resources created over here. So let me do one thing for this demo purpose. Let me create one resource group, and resource group, you know that it is a logical group of multiple resources. So you bucket multiple related resources together. Okay, so in our case, let's put ISE demo. Okay, and since we are creating using this region, basically Canada Central, I'm creating this in Canada Central. Okay, now simply click on tag. Now put adding the tag, it is a very good practice and I always recommend that. So you put this project, and I'm giving this project as ISE demo, the name of the project ISE demo. Okay, now review and create. So it is just validation passed, and I am clicking on create. Okay, so I see that the resource group created. Go to the resource group. So ISA demo resource group created, and it should be currently empty. There are no resources at this point. Okay, so what I came back over here, and here it is a different name. So let me give you a ISE demo. Okay, now location, it is like the region basically. So it is our Canada Central, because the same location we have created the resource group. Definitely the locations should be same for all the resources and the resource group as well. Okay, now the parameter file, we have to pass the parameter file of the bicep. As I said that we are using the bicep param file separately. So in our case, you see that the file name for the network, because I said that here in our case we will be basically creating the network. Network means you're simply the VNet and subnet in this tutorial. Okay, so VNet, you see that it has the address and subnet. There are 3 subnets, and 3 subnets will be into 3 different availability zone over here. So if I back over here, we see that network.dev.bicep param. So let me take you to the source and the parameters. Basically the parameters folder, we have this network.dev.parameter in this GitHub repository. Okay, and you see over here that this is the path, basically because this parameter folder is under the src folder, and the parameter, we are passing this location, app name, you can update anything. Environment I'm mentioning, it is very important that you keep your parameters based on your environment. So that's why you see that the name of the parameter file is basically network.dev.bicep param. So when you are actually using another environment like production or stage, you make it network.prod.bicep param. Okay, Here in the param, I am also providing this vnet underscore CIDR. So the CIDR range of the virtual net, and that is a 192.168.0.0/25. And since we are creating 3 subnets, so that's why I have divided the address to 192.168.0.0/27. Okay, so it depends on your, you change the value definitely as per your requirement and how you actually design your cloud networks. And the subnet name you can choose as per your requirement or what you want. Basically, we have 3 subnets here. One is for application gateway, another 2 for deploying the web server. So that is why wave 01, wave 02, and another is app GW. Okay, now let's directly go to our pipeline. Here we have our param file mentioned that this is the path of the param file, and here is the template file. Template file is the actual source file, means source bicep file. So here you see that under src we have network bicep. Okay, so if I take you to this src, let's go to src and network bicep. So here we see that we have under src we have this network.bicep, and it is a big file. I'm not explaining because in this network.bicep we have actually imported the modules for network, and in the module for the particular network we have the actual code for creating the network. Okay, I'm not explaining because it is a part of Azure Bicep, how you create a project, how you script basically. But our intention is that how we actually execute the Azure Bicep project using Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, so here now the pool and the VM image, it means that the VM image we have already mentioned that it is a Ubuntu latest we want. Now Ubuntu latest, this image will be taking the VM image from the Azure pool basically. Pool means if you are not creating, if you are not pointing to an existing virtual machine, custom virtual machine, we can take it from the pool. Next is, as per the pipeline, how the pipeline is defined, that you have multiple stages. So you define the stages. In our case, we have only one stage. Okay, and we have mentioned that it is the deploy stage. Okay, now under stage we have multiple jobs. So it is, you see this is jobs, and under jobs we have the deployment. So again, the deployment is, in our case, it is directly deploy. Deployment name, environment, we are mentioning this as dev. Strategy is run once, deploy step, and task. This particular task is that under steps we can have multiple tasks. Okay, now under steps we see that it is the checkout self. So what it will do in this step, it will basically pull all the git repository code, which is basically the Azure bicep project code, into the uh, virtual machine or where this pipeline is being run, because that is the project code it will execute, right? So first it needs to check out. Second, that we have a task which is basically Azure CLI type task, where it is not that complex, because in this Azure CLI type task we are executing few inline scripts. The first one is Azure version. We are just checking that whether what is the version of this Azure CLI. It is not that important, but just for checking that what is the version we are using for the Azure CLI, I have added. Now if there is any upgrade needed for that version, we can just do this AZ upgrade, and we are sending this hyphen hyphen yes. So it is saying that, okay, if it is not the latest version, it will update to the latest version of Azure CLI. Next, it is just echoing a text message. Okay, so it will print it in our console log, pipeline log, that deploy bicep template. Okay, and it will show this pwd, it actually show that what is the directory structure, or where it is actually, where in which folder structure or directory structure the script is running. That's why it is pwd. And again echo that check listing. Now here we are checking this listing, this lrt, because we know that we have pulled the repository content or the project content. So wanted to check that it has properly pulled the Git repository, that project content or not. Okay. Now it is the final step where it is the final command, not the step. Okay, script basically. So where we are running this is a deployment, which is the actual command which you will run to kick off the Azure Bicep project. We are providing the template file, hyphen template file, which is, we have already mentioned over here that this is our template file. So basically which template file we want to create it. Now another is the parameter file, because we know that template file actually takes few parameters, which is key value pair. So we provide this parameter file as a template file. Okay. Now it is saying that save and run. Now let me tell you that if I save and run it, it will fail. Okay, so definitely let me fail it. So just clicking on the save and run. Okay, what it is doing, that I have updated the resource group name over here. So there are some changes. So it is saying that to update, so to commit this thing. So what I say, that updated resource group name. Okay, commit directly to the main branch. That's fine. Saving it. Also, it is creating the pipeline. Now, at this moment, we didn't give the name of the pipeline yet. So I will show you that where it has gone. So, okay, first thing is that it says that permission needed. Okay, so clicking over that permission needed, because in our, I have the environment which called devs created. So that's why it is asking for the permission needed. In your case, if it asks, just simply click on permit and clicking on permit. Okay. Now it is saying that, okay, jobs, which is deploy Azure BICEP infrastructure, it is waiting. One approval needed for review before the run. You can continue to deploy. Click on the review. Okay. So it is basically the approval workflow, which I will cover in a separate tutorial, that whenever you run any pipeline and you can set a approval review. It is not that automatically it will deploy in one environment. What if you need some approval? Okay, so that's the reason it is again and again asking for the approval. So in this tutorial, I have just clicked the approval, permitted the approval. Okay, now you see that one checks passed, so the approval one. Now it is trying to execute that job is queued. Here if you click, it says that initiate job. Okay, check out the project. It is green, so it has checked out. So if I go to this green, you see that the project has checked out 100%. Okay, now what it is doing, that preview bicep changes. So it is checking the system requirement. That's fine. And it will take few minutes. Okay. And I know that it will fail. So let's see why it failed. So preview bicep changes. It says that error in setting up subscription. Okay. Failed with error subscription of this. Okay. So does not exist in Azure cloud. Okay, so what it is saying, that it is the issue of the subscription. So why the error came, and what we didn't mention over here. So the thing is, let me take you to this pipeline. So once you go to the pipeline and try to find that the under the recent, you will find this pipeline. So this is our pipeline. 3 minutes ago we tried. So what I usually do, I change the name. Okay, so it is that suppose IAC, Azure Bicep demo, and we are using for the from the GitHub. So I just named it like this. Okay, now clicking over here and clicking over edit. Now here you see that our pipeline is basically, which is running in this Azure DevOps. And as I said, that Azure DevOps is actually separate portal from your Azure cloud portal. Okay, so what happens, that here you are trying to trigger something which will create something in your Microsoft Azure Cloud Portal. Okay, so you know that in your Microsoft Azure Cloud Portal, you have the subscription. So you have to mention or point that subscription in the pipeline. Well, let me take you over here that how you can find your Azure subscription ID, tenant ID, and all these details. Okay. Uh, so by here, the same code which I have uploaded in the GitHub repository for this Azure BICEP. So you see that this is the project, basically ISC BICEP web app. Okay. So what I am doing that here, simply running that AZ login. So it will open the web browser and will ask me to log in. And it says that logged in successfully. We can close this. Even before closing this, I'm just coming over here and it gives you the tenant ID, name, subscription ID, and all these things in this JSON. Okay, for security purpose, I'm just hiding over here, but this is the place where you actually get your all the your tenant ID, uh, cloud name, username, user type, all these things over here. So now I am just clearing this thing. And another way of finding it over here is that I'm going to my uh, subscription, your subscription. Okay, click over the subscription. So here you can see that the subscription ID, which is basically I'm hiding it, and you can copy the subscription ID from here as well. Okay, so but this subscription ID basically you will get from the same AZ login. So if you are using the console, perfect. So I'm going back over here, and what I'm doing that I have copied the subscription ID basically. Well, one more thing over here. So when it is showing actually the subscription issue, you have noticed already that under this task we have the inputs, and we are mentioning the Azure subscription over here. So this is the basically the service principle we are adding, and I'm assuming you know the service principle, but let me take you over there that where we can get the service principle and check whether the service principle is actually created properly or not. So I'm clicking on the project setting at the left hand side bottom. So clicking on project setting, and on the left side you will get the service principle. If you scroll down a little bit, service connections over here, and now new service connection, create new service connection. What I am doing that Azure Classic, selecting Azure Classic by default, clicking on next. Authentication method is credentials. So what I'm doing that selecting the method of authentication as credential instead of certificate based. So it is environment is cloud, Azure cloud, that is fine. Subscription name, I'll be adding user name and password over here, and adding the service connection name. So service connection name, I'm adding it as it is given in the pipeline. Okay. So what we have to do, add this subscription ID. So I'll be adding this subscription ID, but we'll make this um, thing hidden for the security purpose. Okay. So you do not need to change anything in the pipeline. I'm simply clicking on run for the pipeline. Okay, so now it is showing another error, which is rerun failed job and pipeline is not valid. Job deploy step input Azure subscription expects a service connection of type Azure RM, but provided subscription. Let me check the error in detail. Subscription, this is the type of Azure. So what it is expecting the Azure RM, type of Azure RM, but we have provided the connection is of type Azure. Okay, so it is good to know that we are troubleshooting. We know that what we should be given. So what we're doing that, again going to the service connection over here. So what we did that we have created a service connection name, new service connection name. I have to just update in the pipeline. Okay, so it is -arm. So let's go to our pipeline once again. Clicking on review, approve, just refreshing. Now it has failed for some other reason. As you see that earlier it was showing the issue with the subscription thing where we are stuck over here, but that thing has been successfully completed. Here you see that now it has actually stuck at the script failed with exit code 1. So there are some scripting issue. But before scripting issue, you see that it has started executing our bicep template thing. So yeah, the task, basically the pipeline task where we had a print echo for the deploy bicep template. Then it is showing that which directory it is check listing. So it has taken this listing over here. So it has the projects, content, your readme, schedule, this thing. Warning the there is a warning that configuration value of this bicep, this path set to false, that's fine. An error occurred reading the file. So it's saying that could not find a part of path here for the parameter thing. Okay, so it is expecting that there will be parameter at the root and then network dot dev dot bicep param. Okay, this is great to understand that the file it failed because it could not find the path of this parameter. The reason is, let me take you to this repository over here. So in the repository you see that our root is actually the repository over here, Azure Cloud Masterclass, right? Then the subdirectories are projects, sample, IAC Bicep, IAC Bicep web app, SRC. SRC is for the source. And if I take you to the parameter, which is actually failing, and that is actually your, let me take you to this parameter. And inside that parameter, we have this network.dev.param. Okay, but what happened that in our pipeline YML, what we did, we give a different path, and that's why it couldn't find the parameter. In parameter, you see pipeline, you see that parameter file is that parameter slash network.dev.param, and the template file is src slash network.bicep. So what we have to do, we have to actually add this part before parameter and the source file, because this path it doesn't know. So here we added, this is the project sample ISC bicep. Okay, so I'm just keeping it wait and updated this two part. Updating this. Understanding the errors are very important. So you get to know a lot of things, you learn a lot of things once you start troubleshooting it. Okay, so again we are running this. Job pending, refreshing. It has started executing. So far things are okay. It has got the file. You see this part, it is reading it. Wow, it has successfully completed. You see this. I'm taking over the console log first. So if I scroll down, how it has executed. So it says till that this is fine. Here it has got the path successfully. Now installing the bicep CLI. Okay, successfully installed bicep CLI. And it is checking actually that how many resources it has to create. So it is giving a number of resources should be create, and the output of it 7 to create, and then post job check it is checking. And now let me take you to that VNet console, basically in Azure portal. I'm just refreshing over here. Now, when I'm refreshing this virtual network in Microsoft Azure portal, I'm not getting that uh, virtual network created. Okay, so ask this question to yourself, that the pipeline executed successfully. It is showing that resource changes 7 to create, but when I'm actually finding that whether the resource or the this virtual network has been created or not, it is showing nothing created. So what could be the issue? Give yourself 1 minute and try to find. Okay, but meanwhile, let me tell you, it is showing resource changes 7 to create, but actually not created. Now, why it has not created? Okay, so let me take you to this pipeline, and there was a simple tweak in the pipeline, not in the pipeline, basically in the task. Okay, so in task, what we are showing or what we are doing, try to understand. Here you see that in our task, what we are doing is it deployment group, what if this resource group, and template file we are providing and the parameters we are providing. But there is something that when we are creating that group, we have to provide create, otherwise it will not create. That this is the part of our master classes that we do mostly more than 80% of things we do practically, and it is not a something your PPT based learning or the course. Okay, so more you get this kind of struggle or problem solving, and you learn more. That is the purpose of the master class. Master class has two parts. Okay, 2 months of your role based coaching, first 2 months, and the third month is for your certification based coaching. Okay, so in 2 months it is basically all the industry practices, where you actually, when you get into an organization after interview and as a cloud engineer, and you are given some task, and then you start doing it, those experiences are given in this role based guidance. So all this your problem solving, it helps you a lot. Okay, and what with the example we create, it is not simply we are creating a VNet and the subnet. You have seen that the whole architecture we are creating, and uh, it helps you that how you design your architecture, how you implement your architecture, how using how using Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, you are creating the pipeline to deploy an Azure BICEP project. Okay, so it is again executing, and we are on track. It is going fine as it's showing. So if you are interested, feel free to contact us at this uh, web address, that E2E Solution Architect, or you can check our website as well, E2E Solution Architect, for 3 months masterclass on Microsoft Azure Architect, which is a role based, as well as your certification focused AZ 104 and AZ 305 altogether. Okay, so we are done this time. Let's see what is showing in log. You see that's lot of things have come, so it has created. Okay, so you the output showing that it has created this all this subnet and the VNet. Okay, so this is the testing time. We will go to the um, VNet, that portal once again, and let's see, this time we will just give a refresh, and we see that we have our virtual network over here, and it is under the ISC demo, because ISC demo we created first and then tagged it with this project. And if I click on this VNet virtual net, we see that this subnet, clicking on this subnets, we should have this subnets. Okay, in this case, in the project file, basically we had two subnets to create, not the three. So we have got this application gateway, the subnet for the application gateway, and one subnet for the web 01. Okay, but as I am sharing this whole code for the master classes, so you will find, and you can just edit and update the whole code. You see that module, parameters, pipeline, and this code, and to make it like this highly available infrastructure network for any website deployment, or you can deploy in this architecture any microservices or website, your custom website, or anything you understand, whatever the application or tool you install in this virtual machine, it will work. Okay, so it is only to show you that how we can use the Azure DevOps pipeline to run a Azure BICEP project. Okay, so it is as simple as that. The same pipeline, this is what I am trying to tell you, that same pipeline structure, just by changing the project repository or the variables, you can use it to run or kick off any Azure BICEP project. Okay, so it is not that for every Azure BICEP project for your template will differ. Okay, now here in this case, as I said, that this project has the network part, then the application load balancer creation, then virtual machine creation, because we have this uh, source, right? So only what we have used, that network.bicep, we have executed. The same way, once you will execute this application gateway bicep, your virtual machine gateway bicep, or this is the resource group bicep. At this point, we created the resource group manually, but you can execute the rg.bicep to create resource group automatically, means automated through the pipeline code. Okay, so this is all about this tutorial today, what I planned. And it is actually the part of, again, Azure Cloud Masterclass 3 months. So feel free to contact us and comment in this video description if you have any query, or if you are stuck in somewhere. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you. See you in our next session.